Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, breaking down something completely different today. We all saw it already, I'm sure, the Total War Warhammer 2 trailer. I want to take a look at everything that was revealed, what may have been missed, speculate some things, and have a conversation below on anything you guys noticed or any additional bits worth discussing. Before we dive into this, I just want to apologize for any mispronunciations and any errors with regards to lore. Feel absolutely free to inform me further in the comments below. So, right off the bat, the first thing we know is that we're going to see Lustria, home of the Lizardmen, Ulthuan, home of the High Elves, Nagaroth, the realm of the Dark Elves, and the Southlands, the realm of more Lizardmen, and maybe something else. Alright, so first things first, we see Dark Shards carrying their repeater crossbows. They will probably have extremely low melee attack, but great range and accuracy. I imagine they'll also have Vanguard deployment and possibly stalk, because they certainly seem to be stalking their prey right now. And here we see the High Elves, a unit or a few, it seems, of High Elf spearmen. I'm going to go ahead and guess that these guys will have expert charge defense, which is charge defense against all unit types, whether large or small, and they'll have a very high melee defense and a middling melee attack. And I'm going to say we're going to finally see the shield wall ability, much like we saw the wedge formation or lance formation with the release of Bretonnia. Here's a quick glance of a unit we'll talk about in just a bit, because first I want to talk about this guy. The High Elves are being led by a mage. I'm going to guess this is Teclis, High Lore Master of Hoth and the Warden of the White Tower. He will almost certainly be one of the legendary lords, and his twin brother Tyrion is probably going to be the other one, probably the faction leader in fact. And I think the Steam page implies that this is Tyrion in the trailer, but it looks like he's holding the Staff of Lilith, which I believe was gifted to Teclis. Now, my guess is that this will be a legendary item with a quest chain of its own, but where will that quest take us? Will it go all the way to Bretonnia, or something more local? Beyond that, what kind of magic will Teclis have access to? And I'm going to guess this is Teclis. Does he have high magic? Or, if I'm not mistaken, he should be able to learn any one of the other lores, or at least one spell each from the other lores? And will learning one lock away the others on the campaign map? And what about in multiplayer battles? Lots of interesting things to think about there. More on magic in a bit, though, because now we're going to cut to this Dark Elf unit from earlier, the Witch Elves, sneaking through the trees. These lovely ladies will probably cause poison damage and have high melee attack and a very low melee defense, and will probably have a unit ability that boosts attack and further reduces their defensive capabilities. They will probably be unarmored and unshielded as well, maybe unbreakable, because they're supposed to not really care about their own well-being if I recall correctly. It also looks like they can either Vanguard deploy or stalk, but they can definitely hide in forests, that's for sure. And with their presence, there is an implication, I think, that we'll see their warrior sisterhood reflected in the form of lords and heroes. We'll see maybe hags, death hags, and a hag queen, perhaps. And maybe a Daughter of Cain hero unit that supplements them well in battle with stat boosts and the like. But hey, what's this? This lovely gentleman seems to be Malekith, the Witch King of Nagaroth. Almost certainly he will be the faction leader for the Dark Elves, and I imagine Morathi will be the other legendary lord. Now, this being Malekith, I picture we'll get him on a Cold One, his chariot pulled by a pair of Cold Ones, and his Black Dragon as mount options. I can't tell what sword he's carrying, but I'm sure it's another legendary item, probably with its own legendary quest chain, and if you guys can identify it, let me know in the comments below, I'm very curious. Now, moving on to talk about this. He seems to be interacting with some shrine or artifact that ties into the Great Vortex, and as he's doing so, we see he's being watched. These blades might be Black Ark Corsair blades, but that might be a bit of a stretch. Now, back to the artifact. I don't know if this could be a lost plaque. I'm not sure what they're supposed to look like and what type of information they're supposed to have. Either way, he seems to be watching the initial ritual that formed the vortex or is strengthening it. Now, to those that don't know, this vortex can be a central point of the grand campaign in this game. In other videos, I believe the developers, they kind of make it sound like it's one of many ways to win. There will be forces that want to protect it, High Elves and the Lizardmen, and those that want it destroyed, Dark Elves and Skaven. And if you have the first game, and I'm sure reflected through DLC as well, basically good guys want to keep it safe, bad guys want to destroy it, because in simple terms, the Vortex holds back the worst of chaos. And it would make sense in that case that it gets destroyed to lead us into the third game with some Daemons of Chaos, and we'll get more into that when we actually know something about the third game. Anyway, looks like he's gaining some knowledge or magical help, and this might actually be a quest or an indication of some story chapters that will be, a High Elf storyline. Massive guesswork on that one though. And now we see some shots fired. It's that unit of Dark Shards with their repeater crossbows. They're opening fire, they get some solid hits in, but Teclis comes to the rescue. Now, it looks like he's casting what might be the Shield of Sapphire, a high magic spell that makes troops harder to hit in melee and with projectiles. Now, these guys seem to get into his shield wall, again suggesting that we're getting that as a unit ability like we did with the Wedge or Lance formation with the release of Bretonnia. Also, you'll see arrows are getting completely disintegrated on the way in through the Shield of Sapphire, so this could be a very powerful anti-ranged spell that locks onto a single unit or protects a small area, either locked onto the ground or around the caster. The Witch Elves now are charging into battle, but they're promptly interrupted by a carnosaur. Now, that thing came out of nowhere. Does it have stock? Does it have Vanguard deployment? Or, considering it's the size of a house, and I'm not sure how sneaky they are, is there somebody, and I know there are tabletop units with this ability, that can summon a saurus warlord, and this thing just pop up like a Cygor or Manticore might. Either way, it causes some serious damage, and this burst of smoke here I think is just a cinematic flare. I don't think it's a spell or anything, it's just the Shield of Sapphire being removed. Makes me wonder though, if we'll now see that spells can remain active until they're dispelled, either by the caster or the enemy, and that would make the magic system a bit more interesting. It's a very deliberate shot, but maybe I'm just looking too deeply into it. Now we see the Carnosaur is most certainly carrying a saurus, and the Lizardmen have now arrived to the battlefield. Now, skinks seeming like low-tier troops here. They can probably be summoned by a Slann wizard, like zombies and skeletons can, if that's the case, and we see they're carrying shields and spears, and behind them, I think these guys are saurus warriors. Some of them are carrying shields, and some are not. So it looks like we'll have regular and great weapon variants, perhaps. And right above them, upon his palanquin, this is Lord Mazdamundi, Lord of the Solar City. He's not on his Stegodon Zlak, though that will most certainly be a mount option. He'll probably be similar to Teclis as well in the ability to choose a lore of magic, and so similar questions arise regarding how that works in campaign and on the battle map. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he also should have access to Geomancy, and I'm not sure if they got rid of that in later editions, but how would that play out on the campaign map and a battlefield? Would he be able to part water and march an army from one continent to the other? Would he be able to literally move mountains? Some of the spells translate quite easily into what we already know, but some of the other spells, if they are going to be included, might be pretty groundbreaking, and I don't, pun not intended, I'm sorry. Now, Malekith orders a charge, and we see Witch Elves, Dark Shards, and a new unit. Looks like the Dark Elf Bleak Swords, who will probably be a standard core unit like Swordsmen, and they're charging right into a shield wall. But here's a countercharge from the High Elves, which makes absolutely no sense considering they had a shield wall and a seemingly decent defensive position. If this was an episode of Total Breakdown, I'd probably spend a couple of seconds here. But now we see the battlefield unfold, and these look and sound like eagles, presumably for the High Elves, flying in to intercept those pterodons coming in from the Lizardmen, or at least so it seems. And then we get this beautiful shot. I really hope this implies free-for-all battles. I want to see free-for-all multiplayer because that would be fantastic, and I also want to see free-for-all battles in campaigns. It would just be amazing, but I think I'm looking a little too deeply again. Now, great shot of the vortex off in the distance, and we also have been told that considering there are multiple continents now, there will be some naval combat. However, it will all be auto-resolved. I'm curious, though, to see how in-depth we go with naval recruitment. Since it's all auto-resolved, statistics will make a big difference, so very curious to see how deep we go. Now, we get the logo, of course, with nothing special on it at all, nothing curious whatsoever, no strange Skaven runes or anything, and of course I'm being sarcastic. A little bit of CSI-style zoom and enhance, and we see some Skaven runes that were actually pretty obvious even without the zooming and enhancing. They look like the numbers 3, 4, 8, and 2. When I read the 4 and 8, I got really excited that we might be looking at a release date, but then I noticed the 3 and the 2, and now I'm thinking these are references to the Council of 13. Lord Cratch Doomclaw, Warlord of Clan Rictus, Lord Paskrit, Warlord General of all Skavendom, an unknown lord from Clan Carrion, and Lord Nodwell, Warlord of Clan Moors, the very same clan that has a connection to Carrick 8 Peaks. But that's 4 Lord options for Skaven, so maybe some of them are just heroes, and Lord Paskrit is the faction leader, but I suspect this is a misdirect, actually, and instead we're getting Clan Pestilence, the clan that has almost overthrown the Council of 13 in the past. The other 4 might be unplayable factions, at least at launch. We have to consider the game is designed to work for people who don't have the first game, so the Skaven will need local enemies. Now, this theory solves that issue, and we might also see Tomb Kings and maybe a Lizardmen sub-faction that's more reliant on skinks and Arabi or Arabi, however that's pronounced. Further support to my theory is this adorable little buddy here who is clearly suffering from some sort of disease, and if the amazing pun didn't give it away, that's kind of Clan Pestilence's thing. With Clan Pestilence, we'll probably get Lord Nurglik VII, who is probably going to be the faction leader, and we're probably going to have Lord Skrulk as the other legendary lord. Who knows? We'll discuss that more when we actually see something about the Skaven. Now, that's my quick breakdown of the trailer we got, and I'm really excited to get my hands on this. I'm torn between starting with Skaven or Lizardmen. They just seem like they'll play very differently from anything else we've had before, and they look awesome. Now, who are you looking most forward to? I'm curious, what did you guys think about the trailer? Any hints that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there are countless analysis videos out there already, but I'm hoping this helps us notice things that might be hiding in the details, because that's what being a great general is about. And remember guys, for more Total War content, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.